Love in the Woods is an upcoming fan-made sequel to Night in the Woods. It's been in development for some time, but the team is at last ready to show off some of what they've been working on. Last Friday, they released a playable demo of the game. It's really short, less than 10 minutes in length, but it's pretty promising and gives us plenty to talk about as we wait for release. But before I get into the demo, if you are a Night in the Woods fan, please be sure to like, subscribe, and consider supporting my channel over on Patreon with a YouTube channel membership. My goal is to make these videos full-time someday, and by doing any of those things, you'll help make that dream a reality. Love in the Woods is a visual novel that takes place 4 years after the events of Night in the Woods and tells the story of a new character created by the player who comes to Possum Springs. According to the game's website, the player character will have the opportunity to befriend and date the main cast from the first game. Right off the bat, I'm a big fan of the setup for this game. I love that we're playing as a newcomer, someone unfamiliar with the main cast, the town of Possum Springs, and all the drama that went down 4 years earlier. It should allow us to view everything with a fresh set of eyes, which is important for this type of creation. As you'll hear me say throughout this video, and certainly when I cover the full game, I think that we really need to let Love in the Woods stand on its own to a certain degree. This isn't a Night in the Woods sequel developed by Scott Benson and Bethany Hockenberry. This is a sequel made from the blood, sweat, and tears of a dedicated group of fans. Their interpretations of these characters will be different than whatever Scott and Bethany would have done, or what you or I might have done. And so I think that the best thing to do here is to go in with an open mind and let the developers cook. By placing us in the shoes of a brand new, custom-made character, the Love in the Woods team is putting us in a great position to do that. Anyone moving to Possum Springs will inevitably bump into the long line of people trying to get away from Possum Springs. So I'm intrigued by the possibility of how an outsider will respond to the town's decline. Speaking of the character, we're allowed to give them a name and choose our pronouns. Both great details that reinforce the themes of the original game, and will, I'm sure, be well received by the community. I did take note of the fact that we make these decisions in front of a mirror, which makes me wonder if the game will have some type of character creation suite as well. It's not something I'm necessarily expecting from Love in the Woods, but if something along those lines does make it into the game, it sure would be really cool. A lot of people, myself included, have created fan characters for the Night in the Woods universe, and allowing us to recreate them in-game and see them represented on screen would be a dream come true for many of us. But again, I'm just speculating here. If that is where they're going with this, it would be pretty awesome. But if not, then I won't be disappointed. Now, let's get into the gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, it's a visual novel, so the core gameplay mechanic is choosing dialogue options. I loved the diverse range of options presented to us throughout the demo, and was pretty impressed by how responsive the game was to those choices. For example, one of the choices in your visit to May's room leads to a pretty dramatic dinner with her parents. This was actually one of the moments that really proved to me that the game is in good hands, as story beats like this were a key part to the original game. Think of Greg's outburst during his third hangout, or May tripping all over herself at the college party and screwing things up for B. Moments where you knew May, or someone else, was about to mess up, and you can't do anything about it other than to choose bad dialogue option A or bad dialogue option B. I was really impressed that Love in the Woods, in just a short demo, was able to replicate this, enough to say that I am very excited to see how they continue to carry on the themes and narrative structure of the original game in their sequel. And if you don't make that choice up in May's room, then you'll have a completely different experience, which was really cool to see. No doubt, Love in the Woods is going to be a game that honors player choice to a significant degree. Back to the story, in the demo, it appears that our friendship with May is blossoming. It kicks off with us going over to her house for dinner on Longest Night. We talk with her mom, spend some time chilling with May in her room, and either start to have dinner with her parents before circumstances force us to return home, or finish dinner with her parents and then head up to the roof to hang out with May and look at some constellations. It's also hinted at that our player character has a bit of a troubled past of their own, which should be really interesting to dive into. Overall, I felt the story was pretty well done, an effective appetizer for what's to come. In terms of other positives, I'm a huge fan of the art style. The characters look different than they do in the original, but you can still tell exactly who they are, and the representation feels authentic. You can tell that the developers put a ton of heart and effort into reimagining them in their own unique way, and it comes off really well. And of course, if you know me, you know my favorite thing to talk about when reviewing games and demos is music, and Love in the Woods knocks it out of the park in that department. The music is excellent and complements the vibes of the game while also echoing the style of the soundtrack from the original. Like so much of Love in the Woods, it calls back to the things that we really adored about Night in the Woods, while also putting their own spin on things, which is exactly what you want to see from a fan-made creation. Now, in terms of negatives, some of the dialogue isn't great, but considering the game is being told from a first-person point of view, you would expect it to be a bit rougher around the edges, so I can't fault the developers for that. Honestly, I don't have any other criticisms, other than to say that the only thing that concerns me is that following up on Night in the Woods is a tall order. The ending of the original game leaves a lot of questions with no clear sense of direction. Everything from May's future, to what's next for Possum Springs, to the issue of the cult and the Black Goat is left up in the air. These are some big plot points, and though I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle them, I have to admit that it would be a daunting task for just about anyone to take them on and answer them in an authentic way while also managing fan expectations. Love in the Woods team, best of luck on the road to release. I really enjoyed your demo. I can't wait to see the finished game, and I fully intend to cover it right here on my channel. Folks, if you'd like to check out Love in the Woods for yourself, you can do so by following one of the links down below in the description box. But if you prefer to watch a Let's Play of the demo, I'll be posting one on Wednesday around 5. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.